stress is not the storm. It's not the chaos of life swirling around you like an uncontrollable tempest. No, stress is the resistance. It's your unwillingness to dance with the wind, to flow with the rhythm of life. Think about that for a moment. The storm itself isn't the problem, it's the tight grip you have trying to hold it all together. What if you didn't have to? What if the wind could carry you instead of knock you down? You see, the idea that life has to be controlled, that every moment has to fit into your plan, is the greatest source of tension we create for ourselves. It's like trying to hold onto water with your bare hands. The tighter you squeeze, the more it slips away. Here's the kicker: life is designed to flow. It's meant to move, to bend, to shift. And when you try to resist that natural flow, stress takes root. Let's paint a picture. Imagine a tree in the middle of a raging storm. The branches whip back and forth, leaves scatter into the air, and yet the tree remains rooted. Why? Because it's not fighting the wind, it's moving with it. The branches aren't snapping under the pressure because they're flexible. What would happen if you adopted that same flexibility in your life? What would happen if instead of bracing yourself against every gust of wind, you leaned into it, let it guide you, let it guide you, let it teach you? Here's a truth that might surprise you. Stress is optional. Yes, life will throw curveballs, deadlines, heartbreaks, disappointments, but stress, that's the story you tell yourself about those curveballs. It's the voice in your head saying, this shouldn't be happening, or I can't handle this. What if you flip that script? What if, instead of resisting, you ask, what can this teach me? How can I grow from this? Let me share a story. There was a man who lived by the river. Every morning he would go out in his small boat and paddle upstream, battling the current to reach his destination. Day after day, he fought against the water, muscle straining, frustration mounting. One day, an old fisherman watched him struggle and asked, why don't you let the current take you? The river knows the way the man scoffed at first, but one day, out of sheer exhaustion, he let go of the oars. To his amazement, the current carried him effortlessly to a place even better than he had imagined. Are you holding onto the oars in your life? Are you paddling upstream, resisting the natural flow, trying to control every detail? Let me ask you something radical. What if you let go? Not in a way that means giving up, but in a way that means surrendering to the wisdom of life itself. Here's an exercise for you. Close your eyes and imagine you're standing in the middle of a powerful river. The water is rushing around you and you're gripping onto a large rock, trying not to be swept away. Feel the tension in your arms, the ache in your hands. Now imagine releasing that rock. Let the water take you. Feel the ease, the freedom. You're no longer fighting, you're flowing. Let's take it deeper. Stress doesn't just live in your mind, it settles in your body. The tightness in your chest, the knots in your stomach, the weight on your shoulders, all signs of resistance. Your body is like a mirror reflecting the storm inside. So here's a quick practice when you feel that stress creeping in. Pause, take a deep breath, feel it fill your lungs. Expand your chest, and as you exhale, imagine letting go of the tension. Repeat this a few times and notice how your body softens, how the storm begins to settle. And what about anxiety? Oh, that sneaky little companion of stress. Anxiety is the fear of what might happen, the what ifs that play on repeat in your mind. But here's the thing, anxiety feeds on resistance. It thrives when you try to control the uncontrollable. So the antidote? Acceptance. Not of the anxiety itself, but of the moment you're in. This moment, right now. Take a look around you, what's real and what's just a story in your head. Let me tell you something powerful. You don't have to believe everything you think. Your mind is like a wild storyteller, crafting tales of doom and disaster. But you're not your thoughts, you're the observer. And the moment you realize that, the wind loses its power to knock you down. Now imagine this, you're walking through a forest and the path ahead is covered in fallen leaves. You can either curse the mess, try to sweep every leaf away, or you can walk through it, appreciating the crunch under your feet, the beauty of the chaos. Life is that forest, and stress. It's the broom you don't need to carry. Here's a small hook to keep with you flow. Don't fight. Say it to yourself whenever you feel the storm brewing. Let it be your mantra. Flow with the challenges, flow with the changes, flow with the unexpected. Because the wind isn't your enemy, it's your teacher. It's there to guide you, to shape you, to remind you of your strength. So let go of the oars, trust the river, and the next time life's winds pick up, don't resist. Spread your arms, lean in, and let yourself be carried to something greater than you could ever imagine. Because, my friend, the storm was never the problem, it was always the resistance. Anxiety isn't the enemy. It's not some beast to battle or shadow to chase away. Anxiety, my friend, is your soul's way of whispering to you, slow down, you're moving too fast. It's a gentle nudge, a tap on the shoulder, reminding you that you've been running through life when maybe you're meant to walk for a while. Let me ask you this, when was the last time you truly stopped? Not pause to check your phone or take a breath before the next task, but really stop to listen? You see, anxiety often shows up when we're out of alignment with ourselves. It's not there to harm you, it's there to guide you back. Back to center, back to center, back to stillness, back to that quiet, peaceful place within you that's always been there. You might think, peace? In me? Yeah, right. But let me tell you something, peace isn't something you find out there. It's not hidden at the end of a to-do list or waiting for you in some future moment when everything is perfect. Peace is already inside you. It's just buried under the noise. Think of it like this. Imagine a glass of muddy water. If you keep shaking it, the water stays cloudy, right? But if you set it down and let it be, the dirt settles and the water clears. That's what happens when you slow down. Anxiety is the shake, stillness is the clarity. Here's a little story to help you see what I mean. There was once a woman, a single mother, working 2 jobs, always in a rush. She'd wake up to the sound of her alarm, her heart already racing. Coffee in one hand, phone in the other. Her day was a blur of deadlines, errands, and expectations. One day, her young daughter tugged at her sleeve and said, "Mommy, why are you always running?" The woman stopped, stunned. She didn't have an answer. That night, after her daughter was asleep, she sat in silence for the first time in years. At first, it was uncomfortable, the thoughts racing through her mind, the feeling of all she hadn't done. But slowly, as she breathed, she felt something else, a quietness, a softness. And in that stillness, she realized she didn't have to run anymore. Let me ask you, are you running? Are you racing through life thinking that the faster you go, the more you'll accomplish? Because here's the truth, speed doesn't equal success. It doesn't equal happiness. Sometimes slowing down is the most productive thing you can do. Here's a small hook to hold on to your breath. Is your anchor dot whenever you feel that tightness in your chest, that racing in your mind. Stop and breathe. Not shallow, rushed breaths, but deep, deliberate ones. Inhale through your nose, let the air fill your lungs, and exhale slowly. Feel the tension melt away, even if just a little. Do it again and again, because in that simple act, you're telling your body it's okay, I'm safe, I can slow down. Let's dig a little deeper. Anxiety thrives on overthinking. It loves when you play the what-if game, when you spiral into the worst-case scenarios. But here's a question for you. How many of those what-ifs have actually come true? Think about it. Most of the things we worry about never happen. Anxiety is like a car alarm that goes off even when there's no danger. It's loud, it's distracting, but it's not the truth. So what can you do? Here's a practice I want you to try. The next time you feel anxious, ask yourself, what is this trying to tell me? Not why do I feel this way or how do I make it stop? But what is this feeling asking of me? Maybe it's telling you to rest. Maybe it's asking you to let go of something that's no longer serving you. Or maybe it's just reminding you to pause and reconnect with the present moment. Here's another story for you. There was a young man who was constantly anxious. He couldn't sit still, couldn't sleep, couldn't enjoy the things he used to love. One day, his mentor told him to take a walk in the forest. "But I don't have time for that," the man protested. Exactly, said the mentor. So the young man went. At first, his thoughts followed him like a swarm of bees. But as he walked, he began to notice the trees swaying in the breeze, the sound of birdsong, the way the sunlight filtered through the leaves. For the first time in weeks, he felt calm. Why? Because nature doesn't rush. Trees don't hurry to grow, rivers don't force their flow, and neither should you. You see, when you slow down, you create space for something magical: awareness. Awareness of your thoughts, your feelings, your needs. Awareness of the beauty around you and within you. And in that awareness, anxiety loses its grip. It's like turning on the light in a dark room. Suddenly the shadows don't seem so scary. Here's a small but powerful exercise. Right now I want you to close your eyes. Take a deep breath and place your hand over your heart. Feel its rhythm, steady and strong. Now say to yourself, I am safe, I am here, I can slow down. Repeat it until you feel a sense of calm wash over you. This is your soul speaking. This is your inner peace rising to the surface. Let me leave you with this thought: anxiety is not your enemy. It's a messenger. It's your soul's way of saying, hey, you're moving too fast. Take a moment, breathe. Listen, and when you do, you'll discover that the peace you've been chasing has been inside you all along. Because you don't need to fight for peace, you just need to make room for it. what you think expands. Just sit with that for a moment. It's not just a poetic line, it's a law of life as unyielding as gravity. Your thoughts, those seemingly harmless whispers in your mind, are not neutral. They are seeds, and whatever you plant fear, joy, doubt, peace, it grows. Now, here's the question: if your thoughts are the architects of your reality, why not think calm? Why not choose peace over chaos? Imagine you're standing in a garden holding a handful of seeds. Each one represents a thought. You've got seeds of worry, stress, and anxiety in one hand, and seeds of calm, clarity, and joy in the other. The soil doesn't care which seeds you plant, it will nurture them all. But the question is, which harvest do you want to reap? Are you planting storms or serenity? Because whatever you water with your attention will flourish. Now let's get real for a moment. How many times have you caught yourself spiraling into anxious thoughts? One worry leads to another, and before you know it, you're building entire catastrophes in your mind. And yet none of it is happening right now. It's all a story you've created. But here's the incredible part: if you can create a story of fear, you can just as easily create a story of peace. Let me share something profound. Your thoughts are like a flashlight. Wherever you point them, that's what you illuminate. If you're shining it on everything that could go wrong, you'll only see problems, obstacles, and reasons to panic. But if you shift that beam even just a little toward gratitude, toward solutions, toward calm, you begin to see a different world. The world didn't change, your perspective did. Here's a little exercise for you. Close your eyes for a moment and think about a recent stressful situation. Maybe it was a missed deadline, an argument, or a sudden change in plans. Notice how your body reacts. The tightness in your chest, the shallow breaths, the tension in your shoulders. Now imagine yourself stepping back from that situation. Imagine looking at it from above as if you were watching a movie. Detach from the emotion and simply observe. As you do this, say to yourself, this is not me, this is just a thought. Feel that? That's the shift. That's the power you have to redirect your thoughts. Let's dive deeper. When you're caught in stress or anxiety, your mind is like a runaway train. The tracks lead to the same destination: fear, overwhelm, helplessness. But here's the thing: you're not just a passenger on this train. You're the conductor. You can pull the brake, change the track, or even get off altogether. The key is awareness. The moment you notice where your mind is heading, you have a choice. Do you keep feeding the fear, or do you redirect toward calm? Here's a story for you. A young man once asked a wise teacher, "How do I stop my negative thoughts?" The teacher smiled and handed him a glass of muddy water. "Stir this," the teacher said. The man stirred and the water became cloudier. "Now stop stirring and let it sit." The man watched as the mud settled, leaving the water clear. The teacher said, "Your mind is like this glass. The more you stir with worry and fear, the cloudier it gets. But if you let it be, clarity returns." That's the secret. When your thoughts feel overwhelming, don't fight them. Don't stir the water. Pause, breathe, let the mud settle. Because calm isn't something you find, it's something you allow. Let's talk about the science of this for a moment. When you're stressed or anxious, your brain is in survival mode. The amygdala, the part responsible for fear and threat detection, takes over. But here's the good news: you can calm your brain with a simple tool: your breath. Deep, conscious breathing sends a signal to your brain that you're safe. It shifts you out of survival mode and into a state of peace. Try this with me. Inhale deeply for 4 counts. Hold for 4 and exhale for 4. Feel the rhythm, the control, the calm washing over you. Do this for just a minute and notice how your thoughts begin to shift. It's not magic, it's biology. And here's a hook: you'll love what you focus on. You feel . It's that simple. If you focus on fear, you'll feel afraid. If you focus on calm, you'll feel peaceful. So why not choose thoughts that uplift you, that nurture you, that bring you closer to the person you want to be? Think about this: your mind is like a canvas and your thoughts are the brushstrokes. Are you painting chaos or tranquility? Every moment you have the power to choose. You can decide to think calm, to redirect your energy, to create a masterpiece of peace. And here's the beauty of it: when you start thinking calm, your outer world begins to reflect it. People notice your energy, your presence. Challenges don't feel as heavy. Solutions come more easily. It's not that life changes, it's that you've changed. So the next time your mind starts to spiral, remember this: what you think expands. Why not think calm? Redirect your thoughts and watch as your inner world transforms in an instant. Because peace isn't something you find out there, it's something you create right here in this moment with this thought. stress and anxiety, they're not lurking monsters waiting to ambush you. They're stories. That's right, stories. The only thing standing between you and serenity is the narrative you keep telling yourself. Let's pause for a moment and really let that idea sink in. Not the world outside, not the people around you, not even the situations you face, just the story you've written, edited and replayed in your mind. Change the story and stress loses its grip. Think about it, every thought, every worry, every fear begins as a story. Maybe it's a story of I'm not enough, or this will never work out, or I can't handle this, whatever the script. It's not the event causing the stress, it's the meaning you've attached to it. What if you rewrote that meaning? Let me share something personal. A man once told me about the most stressful time in his life. He lost his job unexpectedly, and in the days that followed, his mind spiraled. This is a disaster. My career is over. I failed my family. But then something shifted. A mentor told him, what if this isn't the end? What if it's the beginning of something greater? And just like that, the story changed. The same event, the same circumstance, but with a new meaning. He began to see it as an opportunity to start fresh, to pursue a dream he'd been too afraid to chase. The stress lifted and clarity emerged, all because he changed the story. Here's a little truth bomb for you. Your mind is the greatest screenwriter of all time. It can craft thrillers, tragedies, even comedies, often all in the same day. But here's the thing, you are not the story. You're the observer. You're the one who can step back and say, wait a minute, is this narrative even true? Let me ask you this, how many of the stories you tell yourself are based on actual facts? Think about the last time you were anxious. Maybe it was a meeting at work or an awkward conversation with a friend. Did the anxiety come from the event itself, or did it come from the story you created? They're going to think I'm incompetent, or I'll say the wrong thing and they'll never forgive me. It's never the event, my friends. It's the narrative we attach to it. Here's a little exercise for you. Take a moment and identify one story you've been telling yourself, a stressful one. Write it down. Now ask yourself these three questions. 1. Is it true? 2. Can I absolutely, without a doubt, know it's true? 3. How would I feel if I let go of this story? That last question, oh, it's powerful. Imagine letting go of the narrative that's been weighing you down. Feel the relief, the lightness. You've been holding onto a script that no longer serves you, and it's time to release it. Let's go deeper. Imagine you're walking through a hallway lined with mirrors, and each mirror reflects a different version of you. In one, you're the stressed out version, shoulders tight, face tense. In another, you're the calm, serene version, smiling, at peace. Here's the kicker, both versions are possibilities. The story you tell determines which one you'll step into. So why not choose the mirror that reflects your highest self? Now, you might be thinking, but Wayne, how do I change my story when the stress feels so real? Here's the secret, it starts with awareness. You can't rewrite what you're not aware of. Start noticing the stories you tell yourself. Listen to your thoughts as if they were someone else's words. Would you believe them? Would you agree with them? Or would you challenge them? Here's a quick example. Let's say you're stuck in traffic and the story begins, this is terrible. I'm going to be late. My whole day is ruined. Pause. Ask yourself, is this story helping me? Is it bringing me peace? Or is it adding to the tension? Then rewrite it. This traffic is out of my control, but this moment is mine to breathe, to reflect, to be still. Do you feel the shift? Same situation, but a completely different energy. And speaking of energy, let's talk about the ripple effect of your story. Your inner narrative doesn't just affect you, it radiates outward. If you tell yourself a stressful story, you carry that tension into your interactions, your decisions, your relationships. But if you tell yourself a peaceful story, one of trust and flow, that's what you bring to the world. What story do you want to share? Let me give you a metaphor. Imagine your mind is a radio, constantly tuning into different frequencies. Stress is the static, those noisy, disempowering stories that drown out the music of your soul. But serenity, that's the clear signal. It's always there, waiting for you to tune in. All you have to do is adjust the dial. Here's another hook to hold on to. You are the storyteller, not the story. You hold the pen. And no matter how long you've been stuck on one chapter, you can always turn the page. Imagine that for a moment. The page in front of you is blank. What will you write? Will it be a story of struggle or a story of triumph? Will it be a narrative of limitation or one of infinite possibility? Take a deep breath with me. Inhale possibility. Exhale the old story. Let it go. Feel the power of the present moment. Because here's the truth, the only thing real is now. The past, gone. The future, unwritten. The story you tell in this moment shapes everything that follows. So I'll leave you with this thought. Every time you catch yourself stressed, ask, what's the story I'm telling myself? And then with love and intention, rewrite it. Choose a story that uplifts you, that empowers you, that brings you closer to the serenity you seek. Because the truth is, you've had the pen all along. Stress management, it's something we talk about a lot, isn't it? Books, courses, apps, they all promise to help you manage stress, to keep it under control, to stop it from overtaking your life. But let me tell you something radical. You are not here to manage stress. You are here to transcend IT. Managing stress is like trying to keep a lid on a boiling pot. Transcending it is turning off the heat altogether. Think about that for a moment. Stress is not something you have to wrestle with, to tame, or to endure. It's something you can rise above. Because here's the truth you need to hear right now. You are far greater than the worries you face. The real you isn't the one stuck in a cycle of anxiety, running from one problem to the next. The real you is expansive, limitless, and completely untouched by stress. Yes, untouched. Let me ask you, when was the last time you truly felt still? Not just calm for a fleeting moment, but deeply, profoundly still. I'm talking about that sense of peace where the noise of the world fades away, and all that remains is the gentle hum of your existence. That stillness? That's your natural state. That's who you really are. Stress isn't who you are. It's a cloud passing through the sky of your mind, and like all clouds, it will pass, but only if you stop holding on to it. Here's a powerful hook for you. Stress doesn't hold on to you, you hold on to IT. Let's dive deeper. Picture this, you're standing in a field holding a balloon. The balloon is filled with all your worries, your deadlines, your fears, the what-ifs that keep you up at night. Your hand is gripping that string so tightly because you're afraid to let it go. You've convinced yourself that holding on will somehow solve the problems inside the balloon. But what if I told you the only way to truly solve them is to let it float away, to release it, to rise above? Transcending stress is like releasing that balloon. It's not about ignoring your problems or pretending they don't exist. It's about realizing they don't define you. They're not permanent. They're not you. Here's the secret. Transcendence begins with a shift in perspective. Imagine you're a bird soaring high above the earth. From up there, the mountains that seemed insurmountable when you were on the ground look like tiny bumps. The vastness of the sky makes the challenges below seem small, almost insignificant. When you rise above stress, you don't eliminate it, you outgrow it. You realize it's just a moment, a speck in the grand tapestry of your life. Let me share a story. There was once a farmer who found an eagle's egg. He placed it in the nest of a chicken, and when the eagle hatched, it grew up thinking it was a chicken. It scratched the ground, clucked, and never lifted its eyes to the sky. One day, the eagle saw a majestic bird soaring high above and felt a pull in its chest. Something inside it knew, that's where I belong. That eagle didn't need to learn how to fly, it simply needed to remember who it was. Are you living like the eagle in the chicken coop? Are you clucking through life believing that stress and anxiety are just part of the deal? What if I told you that you too were born to soar? You don't need to fight stress. You need to remember your wings. Now, let's get practical. Transcending stress isn't just a lofty idea, it's something you can do right here, right now. Start with your breath. Take a moment to close your eyes and inhale deeply. Feel the air filling your lungs, expanding your chest. Hold it for a moment. Now exhale slowly, releasing all the tension you're holding. Feel that? That's the space where transcendence begins. Your breath is your anchor, your guide, your gateway to the present moment. Here's a surprising truth. Stress can't exist in the present. It lives in the past and the future, in regrets and fears, in should-haves and what-ifs. But in this moment, right now, there is no stress. Just you, your breath, and the stillness within. Another exercise, I want you to visualize a mountain. The peak represents your higher self, the you that is untouched by the storms of life. Now imagine yourself climbing that mountain. As you ascend, you notice the things you've been carrying, worries, doubts, responsibilities. One by one, you set them down, leaving them behind. Feel yourself getting lighter with each step. When you reach the top, you look out and realize that everything you thought was so big, so overwhelming, is now just a dot on the horizon. That's transcendence. That's rising above dot. But here's the thing, it's not about escaping the world. Transcending stress doesn't mean withdrawing from life. It means engaging with life from a higher state of being. When you're no longer ruled by stress, you show up with clarity, strength, and purpose. You become the calm in the storm, the anchor in the chaos. And let me tell you, the world needs more people like that. So how do you stay above it all? By recognizing that your peace doesn't depend on circumstances. It's not about fixing everything around you, it's about finding stillness within. Imagine a hurricane. At its center is the eye, a place of perfect calm. That eye is always there, no matter how fierce the storm gets. Your job isn't to stop the storm, it's to find the eye and stay there. Let's return to that balloon for a moment. What's stopping you from letting go? Is it fear? Fear that if you release it, everything will fall apart. Here's a little hook for you. Letting go doesn't mean losing control. It means trusting life. Trusting that the same force that keeps the planet spinning, the tides flowing, and the seasons changing will also guide you. Stress comes from the illusion that you're in charge of it all. Transcendence comes from remembering that you're not. And let me remind you of something profound. You are not your stress. You are not your worries, your fears, or your doubts. You are the observer, the awareness behind it all. Imagine watching a play. Stress is just one character on the stage, but you're the audience. And the audience is never affected by the drama it witnesses. So sit back, take a deep breath, and remember the real you is untouched, unshaken, unbroken. Let me leave you with this thought. Life is not something to be endured, it's something to be embraced. Don't let stress dim your light. Rise above it. Soar like the eagle you were born to be. Because when you transcend stress, you don't just survive, you thrive. And isn't that what you're here to do? Anxiety isn't the moment you're in, it's the tug of war between where you are and where your mind thinks you should be. Think about that. Anxiety only exists when your thoughts stray from the now. It's never rooted in what's happening, it's rooted in the stories your mind creates about what might happen or what should have happened or what could go wrong. But here's the truth: when you align with the present moment, anxiety dissolves. It's like a shadow in the sunlight. When you step fully into the light of now, there's nowhere for it to hide. Here's something I want you to picture. Imagine you're holding a glass of water. Now imagine shaking that glass. The water sloshes, spills, and creates a mess. That's your mind when you're caught in anxious thoughts. It's constantly shaking, constantly agitating the water. But if you set the glass down, let it be still, what happens? The water settles, clarity returns. That's what it means to align with the present moment. It's setting the glass of your mind down and letting the natural stillness emerge. Let's go deeper. Why does anxiety pull us so hard? Because we let it. We let our minds drag us into the imaginary future or the unchangeable past. And every time we go there, we abandon the one place where life is actually happening right now. You know, people often say, I can't help it. My mind just keeps racing. But let me challenge that. Who's in charge, your mind or you? Because the moment you realize you're not your thoughts, you take back the reins. Imagine your thoughts as clouds in the sky. They come, they go, they shift. But you're the sky. You're not defined by the passing clouds of anxiety or doubt. You're the vast, endless space that holds them. And that space, my friend, is your power. Here's a small hook for you. Come back to your breath. Because your breath is always in the present. You can't breathe in the past, and you can't breathe in the future. The moment you focus on your breath, you're anchoring yourself to the now. Try it with me. Inhale deeply, and as you do, feel the air filling your lungs. Exhale slowly, and as you let go, notice the peace that begins to creep in. Now, let me tell you about a woman I once met at a retreat. She came up to me, tears in her eyes, and said, Wayne, I've spent my whole life worrying about what's next. I've been so busy trying to control everything that I don't even know what it feels like to just be. Maybe you can relate to that. Maybe you've been so focused on the what ifs and the what nows that you've forgotten the beauty of what's right in front of you. I told her something I'll tell you now. Let go of next. Come back to now. Here's the secret. The present moment doesn't need fixing. It doesn't demand anything of you except that you show up for it. Right here, right now, as you listen to these words, nothing is missing. Feel that. Let that sink in. Nothing is missing in this moment. The only thing that pulls you away from this truth is the belief that you should be somewhere else, doing something else, being someone else. Do you remember the last time you truly felt alive? Was it a sunset that stole your breath, or a laugh that bubbled up from deep inside? In those moments, you weren't thinking about tomorrow's problems or yesterday's regrets. You were fully, beautifully here. That's alignment. That's presence. And guess what? You don't need a spectacular sunset or a perfect moment to access it. It's always here, waiting for you if you just stop and notice. Here's a quick exercise. Look around you right now. Notice the colors, the shapes, the textures. Hear the sounds in your environment. Feel the weight of your body in your chair, the rhythm of your breathing. This is now, not tomorrow, not next week, this. And in this moment, there's no room for anxiety. There's only room for being. I want to share a little story. There was a monk who carried a simple piece of wisdom with him everywhere he went. Written on a small scrap of paper were 4 words, "This too shall pass." Whenever he felt overwhelmed or stressed, he would pull out that paper, read it, and smile. Why? Because he knew that no matter how big the storm seemed, it would eventually dissolve into the stillness of now. What if you carried that wisdom with you? What if every time anxiety started to rise, you reminded yourself, "This too shall pass"? And here's a twist: that stillness you're looking for. It's not waiting on the other side of solving your problems. It's not hiding in the next job, the next relationship, the next accomplishment. It's here, in the pauses between your breaths, in the space between your thoughts. Anxiety can't exist there because stillness isn't something anxiety knows how to touch. Here's something radical: stop trying to escape. So often we think the answer to anxiety is to outrun it, to outthink it, to bury it under distractions. But what if instead you turn toward it? What if you sat with it, looked at it, and said, "I see you, but you don't own me"? Anxiety loses its grip when you stop running and start observing. And let me leave you with this idea. Imagine a candle burning in a dark room. The flame flickers, casting shadows on the walls. Those shadows might seem big, overwhelming even, but they're not real. They're just projections. Anxiety is the same. It's not the flame, it's the shadow. And when you align with the present, when you turn your attention to the flame itself, your breath, your being, this moment you realize there's nothing to fear. Thanks for joining me today. If you found value in this discussion, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more motivational content. Share your thoughts in the comments below.